Here's problem 12. It's an SAT question. It says if A is less than B, which is less than -1, in other words, they're both negative, with that being far extreme negative, and he's in the middle, which of the following has the greatest value? So we need to go through this. Now, we could pick some real-life numbers and put them in there, but you never really know how close A and B are. So the key is to, let's sort of think what's going to happen to each one of these. Is it going to create a massive positive number, a real small negative? What's it going to do? So let's take a look. I'm going to start with D just to show you what I'm talking about. Now remember, A is pretty negative. So if we really do want to think of numbers, let's just think of -3, -2, and -1. Because see, B is in between these two negatives. We know B is less than -1, so we'll just pick -2. A is even smaller than that, so let's think of -3. If you do, and we want a greatest value, if A is negative and we do 3 times it, this is just going to give us more negative, isn't it? It's going to be a negative answer. That's got to be a negative answer. We don't want a negative answer. We want a positive answer. So right off, I know D is sort of out of the question. If I look at this one, I have negative, you could imagine -3 minus the -2. Well, once we do minus a negative number here, that's going to create a positive number. This is going to create, right in here, something positive. So we got negative and then gaining some back. And you've lost more here than you've gained, so this answer also is going to end up being a negative answer. Because A is a whole lot of negative. You lost like -3 minus, or changes to +2. That's still a negative answer. Because A is the much larger negative number. Both these give us negative answers. Now if we come to this one, -3 times A. Wow, this is negative. A negative times a negative, and that A, remember, is larger than B. It's a larger negative. -3 times negative whatever, in this case -3, would give us a +9 if you want to imagine that. But then you're going to lose 2. So you're going to have to sort of move back from that positive number. You're going to lose a little bit because we're adding a negative. So when you add a negative to this positive that we just made, it was 9, but now it drops back to 7. Right in here, you have a -3 minus the B. Well, once we subtract a negative number, you know that's going to create a positive in there. And that's then going to be and then the final answer is going to be negative whatever. Of course, this would be more negative, but here's what I want to look at. Let's look at C, which is going to be our answer. Check out how this works. If I do 3 times a negative number, this is going to create a pretty large negative, isn't it? In this case, if you wanted to imagine, that would create a -9. Then we're adding more loss, more of a negative. So maybe we're adding -2, which would create a -11. So this creates a massive negative bit in here, always. But then we're going to take the opposite of that. So we're creating this huge negative number, but then we're taking the what? Opposite of it. So this is going to end up being a pretty large positive number. Choice C is the obvious bit, because it creates the largest positive number you and I can get. And you can see how these others don't. And again, you could pick these numbers, plug them in and see how it works, and you're going to see every time, no matter what you pick, C is going to work. We could rule these out again because you had a bunch of negative answers down in here. So, again, hopefully you understood how that works. It just takes a little bit of thinking, but again, you can put numbers in. Just make sure up here you put the correct numbers in, because I would hate for you to accidentally put +2 and +3 or 2 and 3 or whatever. Remember, they're both negative because they're both less than -1. There you have it.